Page 48 and page 49. In this piece, this is my final idea for 3D, which is similar to an idea I got from Gem and also the gallery itself that we were zooming into to relate to our own piece. In this, I've used the window design that the Rifle Gallery has, where it's a large size and then it has a nice curve at the top. Doing this, it will be almost like a display cabinet, which seems quite dull, but from what Gem gave us an example of, she was going to place something inside, which I decided to also design, though I've taken this into something personal by designing a bird, which also relates to my 2D, as this bird will be made out of cans, wire, all the recycling metal that I can get my hands on, which will be glued together with hot glue. This idea does have a strong link to the gallery, however I still find that it might be very difficult with making the actual display case, because I was planning to use either perspex or acetate, but as acetate is very flexible, it might fall to pieces, especially if I'm using either little bamboo sticks on the corners to attach them, or even some foam boards that I have left over from my Zen garden piece. Though, as it seems that we're not going back to college, I have decided not to make this one, as I don't have the materials that's needed or any advice on if it would be easier to stick with my idea or to change it so that the display will be stronger. As for page 49, I have designed my thumbnails, and I have a few artists that link to this piece as well. Robert Rauschenberg, which he used a few canvases that he placed all together, and then I found an artist which I responded to called Adtoni Tapes, which the image shows a mouth that seems as if scratched in, though I couldn't get that much from it as I just found the image. This is the final idea of how I could take away this idea, as I can either do the similar thing that Rauschenberg done by destroying his canvases and placing them back together, which this piece suggests is by cutting them in the sections each material is made, in which they could be slid together or put in different orders, or I could design this onto a flag, so then all flags could be joined together at the end, though I still am not sure about that design though. As for my thumbnails, I've placed numbers to show the order of how they were each made. For example, these ones have a strong link, as they are all the first three designs. One plain, which all three are, up till number 4. And then these one just shows the separation of 2 designs, either a cat or an eye, though I haven't taken that into consideration of doing the cat, though the eye is a bit of a different story. As you can see, I've changed the design of how this could be made from being 8 sections into where they will swirl together, almost similar to like an illusion. As they twist, your eyes start spin to the insulate. As for this one, I've made it so it has a butterfly effect, where it has the sharp big points and then a thin little section of the body. I'm kind of pulling forward with this idea, as I like where I could add more detail or use a certain material on this section, on the big sections that I like the most, that I've used in my whole art studies. As for this section, it shows the constant of the circles being added in constantly, but each one has something different. This one's just a simple swirl, and then I've added an actual bird into this piece. I kind of like how the bird's been put inside the circle, though trying to make a frame out of wood and then now gulling some old canvas cloth I have might seem quite difficult, especially smoothing the edges. As for my third drawing, I've only taken out the actual pupil eye, which I've kept in. Has the black pupil, and then it has the actual lens, which has the darker shades and then the lighter. Though I still find that the eye might be a bit lacking. Then I've continued with the bird idea, where I've taken away all the sections completely and just got some colouring pencils and went round it to show that I can combine all the materials instead of section them all off to make the bird, and then leave the background plain so it stands out as clear as day. Though I kind of don't like this idea as well, because I don't want the risk where some materials blend and make an awful colour. As for my third and ninth one, I've continued the eye but over top the bird face, as it takes it over whilst having the body and the beak show. It is kind of a good idea, but it also takes away the animal portrait by having almost a surrealism placed in, which I did not like. For my 10th one, I've done the butterfly at the back again, whilst also having the bird displayed but in portrait stands instead of landscape, which has been shown from number 8 and 3 and 9 and 3. I kind of like the portrait stands, however I have this thing about the wings not coming through. I wanted the whole bird's portrait to be shown, but I didn't like how the wings are coming off, which I'll explore later on in some more thumbnails. For my 11th and 4th piece, I've done landscapes continued, which will be changed later on, whether I really dislike the style of it. I have changed the butterfly and I have tried to section off a little bit more. Hasn't really worked out, because it's still the same as number 10 and 11. As for number 12, I have combined from the eye that carries down, but instead of the pupil eye being the centre, I've taken away that style, and I've also taken away the curve. But instead, in the background, I've still made the circle where all the colours would be middle dense, so then it's not as thick, so the inside of the bird will be all thick and has such a heavy colour, whilst there's a circle that just dims, and then the outside will be very faint, similar to water palette paint where it's very thin, but any material I use will be thin in this part. This is my chosen one out of the whole thumbnail that I like so far, as it combines so many different ideas, my thumbnails, from the eye and how I've went from a plain UK style to a swirl, from a butterfly, all the way up to now where it's a portrait of birds. Though I still will continue this, as I still dislike the portrait stands. I prefer it to be landscapes, then I can work evenly with every single piece. As my goal for my final piece in 2D, with this idea, I wish that the bird will be sectioned off almost evenly, so then I can work with so many different materials where it reaches into the body of the bird, where I can put some detail into it.